People say that I have song ADD. Well, at least I don't have it nearly as bad as this movie does. Hey movie fans, Suicide Squad is the latest in the DC cinematic universe that, to put it gently, has been off to a bit of a rocky start, and looking at the critical reception to this movie, it seems that that trend may continue. However, I thought differently. I thought this movie was a lot of fun, with some flaws, so, like DX, let's break it down. First of all, the positives. The whole ensemble cast for this movie is incredible. Guess who's back? Will Smith's back. That's right, Will Smith is back to that snarky, sarcastic, sassy, funny persona that we all know and love that really has been MIA for a lot of years because he insists on putting his son into movies instead. Thanks, Will. He's excellent as Deadshot. He brings this great humanity as well as a sense of humor. There's a couple genuinely good emotional scenes in this movie. All of them come courtesy of Deadshot. Now, without getting too much into his backstory, he is more of an anti-hero and does have more of a moral compass than everyone else on the Suicide Squad roster, and that plays into it, making him a very good and well-rounded character. Now, this is also the big screen debut of Harley Quinn, and Margot Robbie absolutely knocked it out of the park. There could have been a lot of pressure on her to finally get this character right, who's been around for about 20 years now and has yet to get a big screen adaptation, and she really crushes it. She is Harley Quinn. The rest of the roster is fantastic. Like, Diablo was a great, well-rounded character. Not as well-rounded as Deadshot, but he gets less screen time than Deadshot. So, per capita, he's probably just as good as Deadshot. Katana, she's fine. She's very limited in her capacity, but the small couple scenes that we do get with her stay with you, and she's a very good character, and I'm looking forward to seeing her more fleshed out in later movies if we get Suicide Squad sequels, which I imagine we would. The biggest shock of the whole movie, though, Jai Courtney was good. I know! I can't believe it either. He was fun. He was entertaining, and even more shocking that let him keep the name Captain Boomerang. I thought they would have changed it because, that's dumb. That's a dumb name, but sure enough, they let him keep it. Then, rounding out the rest of the cast, you got Killer Croc, great. A little bit hard to understand at times, but I really liked his character. I'm not messing with him. And then you had Rick Flag leading the group, who is a bit of a conflict of interest in this story without getting too much into spoilers, but he's also gets in on the fun of really dry wit, and the ensemble is really, really strong. That is probably the strongest thing about this movie. There's a lot of other flaws that revolve around it, but it doesn't take away from the fact that this is an incredibly fun movie. So what are some of those flaws? Follow this analogy with me. The latest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies are accused of not being very good, because frankly, they're not. I hated the first one. I had some fun with the second one, because it took itself more fun and lighthearted. But the thing with the Ninja Turtles, these new Ninja Turtles movies, is the characters and the characterizations of the Turtles and their group was spot on from what we knew and loved. The rest of the story around them didn't really hold up. That's the exact same thing that happens in this movie. The squad is fantastic. They're all perfectly portrayed. They all have really good chemistry off of each other. They all have really good interactions, but the story around them isn't the strongest. It's not bad, it's just been done to death. Of, you have this mission, you have to stop this force, there's a blue beam that goes up, and you basically have to win the day or else the whole world goes kaput. We've seen it done a million times, we've seen it done better, which brings me to the villain. I don't want to get into spoiler territory, so I won't say who or what the villain is, but if you'd seen my videos in the past, or if you checked up on enough of the trailers, you could probably piece it together, but they've been kind of secretive of who the villain is. And they do that for good reason, because this villain is not very good. It, for lack of a better term, it makes a Marvel villain look solid. Yeah, it's because this villain has just weird and distracting movements that really kind of took me out of it, as well as their motives were never really clear. It's like, I didn't understand really where you came from, what you really are, and they have this accomplice, we'll go with that you didn't really need. You could have just had that main villain to begin with. You didn't need that second hand to help you out. And this last negative could also be a positive, but it's like a tweener for me, and that is this new Joker. Is it bad? Not necessarily. We didn't get a lot of him, so I couldn't really properly gauge what kind of Joker it was going to be. There's a lot of different aspects to Joker that you could play off of. Heath Ledger was more the anarchist, whereas Mark Hamill is just the all-around Joker. He encompasses a lot of different details. But there's a lot of facets to Joker, like Batman, that you can focus on. It all depends on the director's style. This one with Jared Leto, he chooses to go a characteristic of Joker that I'm not really familiar with. Now, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this movie paints Joker as more of a gangster and has more of a gangster mindset and appearance. And I never knew Joker to be a gangster. He's got a gang, but gangsters have rules. Joker's nuts and has no rules. That being said, we get maybe 15 minutes in this. And the scenes that we do get him in, they're not bad. They're good filler and add to the world more. But I didn't get enough of Joker to know if I really like him or not. If he ends up being a good Joker, then great, we have another great Joker. If he ends up not being a good Joker down the line, that's totally fine with me, and here's my logic behind that, is eventually someone has to be the Joker after the great performance of Heath Ledger. It's after the guy after that has a whole less weight off his shoulders of, well, at least you weren't the guy after Heath Ledger. Whew. See what I mean? It's like the first guy through the wall always gets bloodied, whatever that Moneyball line is. So let's round out with some more positives before we wrap this up. Batman is in this movie for a little bit. That's not a spoiler. He was in the trailers. But how they weave him and certain other DC characters into this movie is really well done. One of the issues I had with Batman v Superman is that they really shoehorn in a lot of Easter eggs and references, clearly tying into future movies or other side plots that were only there to build up the world and not further the story. This actually did both. It furthered the world and made it bigger, but at the same time, it was used to come back to the story, which I really appreciated. It wasn't distracting because they used it correctly and in small doses. This isn't a spoiler here, but I was wrong about who Scott Eastwood was playing, so sorry, buddy. Maybe next time. Overall, I give Suicide Squad about a 7.5 out of 10. It's cliched for the whole second half, but the first half is so much fun, and the cast of the Suicide Squad is so well-rounded and has such great chemistry with each other, it carries you through the slower and more cliched parts. It's nothing groundbreaking, but it's still a lot of fun. So if you can check your brain at the door, it's a lot of fun, and probably the most fun DC movie we've had so far. Well, what did you guys think of Suicide Squad? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like what you see and want to see more, subscribe to the channel, or find me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram at Uncharted Media. Stay sharp, movie guys and gals!